Hey, my friends, wouldn't it be completely wonderful if maybe healing yourself from what ails you was simple and conceptually very easy to digest, and how to go forward was crystal clear on it? Whether it's hypertension or cholesterol or diabetes or something that ends in itis or whatever it is that you've got, even cancer, whatever it is, a common cold, flu, so on and so forth. Well, maybe it is. Think about it. Whenever you go to research, different diets for, okay, give me a diet for hypertension, you're going to see it's something along the lines of eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and beans, legumes, and, things like that, more plant-based whole foods and less meat. Okay, look up a diabetes diet, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and more plant-based whole food nutrition and less meat and dairy. Okay, something that ends in itis, like arthritis or whatever. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seed, legumes, and complex carbohydrates, more plant-based whole food nutrition and less meat and dairy. It doesn't even matter what it is that you look up. It's pretty much the same thing. Plant-based whole food nutrition. So it becomes very easy and much less complicated than a lot of people and a lot of sites and a lot of, medical community, well-intended personnel make it out to be. So here's my little disclaimer, because I'm gonna make a very bold statement. I'm gonna make an outrageous claim that pharmaceutical companies would not agree with me making. However, here's my disclaimer before I make that statement. I'm not saying anything in this video to undermine any healthcare professional that you're working with. I want you to take your own responsibility and put it on your own shoulders and include your medical doctors as part of your team for making decisions that ultimately you have to make, because you're the one that has to live with either the rewards or the consequences of your decision. So do your own research, be safe, and be responsible, okay? There, I said it. I say nothing to diagnose or to treat you. I'm just sharing what I've learned. Okay, so here's a very bold statement, a bold claim that pharmaceutical would be pissed off about if you started to believe in this. You can heal yourself from just about anything, if not anything, just from plant-based whole food nutrition, plenty of sleep, annihilating your stress response to anything, and probably some good healthy relationships with other people in your life too. Those things by themselves can heal you from just about anything, including cancers of all kinds, as I've seen it. There's a wonderful place like the Gerson organization, the Gerson Clinic. They do the Gerson therapy for people that have cancers that have been turned away from the medical community because it was so bad. Their doctor basically said, there's nothing more we can do for you. Go home, get your affairs and your finances in order, basically prepare to die. So they go to the Gerson Clinic. The Gerson Clinic uses nature, no medical treatment whatsoever, and they heal these people. And then they go back to the community to tell them what they've learned, and they're escorted out of the building by security personnel armed with guns, told, if you set foot in these premises again, we will press charges. What is that about? So the pharmaceutical industry, which uses technology dispensaries known as the medical communities, are not interested in healing you from what ails you. Their goal is to help you die as slowly as possible, because that's where the money is for them. And that's something that you have to understand. So it becomes your worthwhile burden to learn about plant-based whole food nutrition and how easy it is, because it is much cheaper, much more affordable for you. It is much safer, it's much easier, and it's something that you can start to utilize right now if you haven't already. Plant-based whole food nutrition and less meat, less dairy, maybe no dairy, and for many of you, maybe also no meat. It differs from person to person. But a plant-based whole food diet where you're not even using isolates anymore, like sugar added onto things. If you eat, say an apple has sugar, fruits have sugar, other foods have sugars that's already in the food. But when you go and start adding sugar to it, then you start to create an environment internally that disease thrives on, feeds on. You fuel it, and disease opens up, it gets worse. Disease is always in its little corner inside of your body. Even if you're perfectly healthy, your immune system is 100% fully functional, you have nothing wrong with you, your blood panels are perfect, that disease is still there It's waiting in its tiny little corner that it's been contained in, just waiting for a vulnerability, an opening to get out there and take over your entire body. And when you feed your body sugar and salt, and you add stuff to it, that starts to open up those vulnerabilities. When you have dairy or too much meat, or for some of you, any meat, depending on your body's nutritional requirements, processed foods, a lot of things you already know to stay away from, that vulnerability opens up, and then that disease that's waiting in its little corner goes wham, and then it takes over your body, and then you go get medical treatment, which exacerbates the problem, weakens your immune system, gives your immune system a crutch. How do you build a strong immune system? You challenge it. You challenge it. You give it germs and whatever else, but at the same time, you have to give it the raw materials that it needs so that it can get stronger against those germs. The only way you can make anything stronger is to challenge it with also, because you can't just challenge it by itself, otherwise you get worse. But it's the challenge intersected with the raw materials that's needed to fight back and grow and overcome the challenge. It's the overcoming of challenges that makes anything stronger, whether it's your brain, your muscles, your bones, your immune system. It has to be challenged, but you have to give what's working in your favor the tools and resources and raw materials it needs to get stronger by overcoming that challenge. So conceptually, it's very easy. And you do that by annihilating stress, getting plenty of sleep, some good healthy relationships with other people, maybe even lots of sex, healthy sex, and plant-based raw or plant-based whole foods. And most of it should probably be raw, like at least 51% of your plant-based whole food diet should be raw food. So you get a combination of raw and cooked, but mostly raw. And then from there, you can really start to hone in and figure out what's working for you and coming off of hypertension medication safely with your doctor's approval. Reversing, osteoporosis, healing yourself from cancer, or healing yourself from anything that ends with itis, which is a million different things, or behavioral disorders within our children and adults too, for that matter, ADD, ADHD, ODD, and all these other things. That's largely stemmed from the chemicals that are man-made we're putting into our bodies that's manipulating our brains, like biologically, physically manipulating the chemistry within our brains. And since we don't understand how the brain works anyway, how dangerous is it that we're ingesting foods that have chemicals in them that are messing with the chemistry in our brain? Think about that. And nobody's really talking about that when it comes to all these explosive behavioral disorders that our society is becoming inundated with. And why would we want to talk about it? Because that creates a whole new marketplace, a large, enormous market share for people that need medications that the pharmaceutical industry has so conveniently created. Oh, you have a problem with your brain. We have new pills for that. So you could say that pharmaceutical companies are also in the business of creating problems by injecting their chemicals into our foods that messes with our brains, that creates a need for more medications that they're happy to supply us with. So we have to take personal responsibility for ourselves, study up on what it takes to build a healthy immune system that functions on its own, given those raw materials so that it can, instead of giving our immune system a crutch. And when we take pharmaceutical graded medications, that's the crutch. So our immune system no longer has to work, so it gets lazy. It's not being challenged. It's the opposite. Remember I said the only way you can build a strength in anything is to challenge it with something that it perceives as a challenge, but then you give it the materials it needs so that it can overcome that challenge. When you're taking pharmaceutical graded medications, you're giving your immune system a crutch. So it's the opposite of being challenged. It just says, okay, immune system, relax. We got this. And the immune system says, okay. And then it becomes normalized for such a long period of time that when the immune system isn't given that crutch, a common cold can kill you. Take cancer, for example. We have people that are labeled as cancer survivors because they've gone 5 years since the diagnosis, even though they still might have the cancer. But there's cancer survivors out there that really did beat the cancer with the crutch of pharmaceuticals like chemotherapy, radiation surgery, and so forth. But now they have no immune system left. The cancer is gone, but their immune system has been lazy for such a long period of time from that crutch known as chemotherapy, radiation, and so forth, that the immune system no longer knows how to function anymore. So the cancer is gone, but so is the immune system. So now we have cancer survivors that get a common cold that kills them because their immune system has been so weakened and been conditioned to be so lazy from the crutches of medical treatment that the immune system can't even fight off a common cold anymore. And they're dead, but they're still labeled a victory because they don't have cancer anymore. And that helps the pharmaceutical industry look good to the public because, hey, we have a cancer survivor, so take our stuff, and it helps them sell more to a public that isn't paying attention, and a public that is not interested in learning, and a public that's not even motivated to save their own life. So we have to stand up for ourselves and for other people as well, and learn about how to annihilate stress and have a peaceful response to our challenges, and how to appropriately give ourselves this challenge and the materials that we need so that we have something to get stronger with and against and for, so that our immune system is built up instead of torn down, so that we can handle whatever comes our way with our own natural defenses from the inside instead of relying on some crutch. That's important. And when it comes to plant-based whole food, when it comes to diet, plant-based whole food really does make it easy to prevent and even reverse and cure yourself from just about anything that could ail you. And it's so simple. Instead of a pill for every ill, which, there's a million ills, that gets really complicated. And plus each pill creates its own side effect for which you might need a new pill for, which creates another side effect, which you need. That's why people that are on medications are typically on multiple medications to deal with the side effects created by the first, second, and third, and however many other medications. And that just creates obviously a cash windfall in favor for the pharmaceutical companies. They love that. Their goal is to help you die as slowly as possible. The real tragedy is when you do die because now they lost a consumer. So we live longer than ever in human species history. Our lifespan is longer than it's ever been. But what's happened is they've mastered the art of dragging out the life of a tomato. That's horrible. To say that it's a good thing because we're living longer than ever, that does not reflect the truth. That is a cherry-picked factual statement that represents the opposite of what the reality is. We're living longer, but like a tomato. Why not live longer like a healthy, mobile, fully functional, healthy, feeling good human being? So you have both. Yes and yes. I'm living longer and I'm feeling great and I'm mobile and I can do things. I'm 90 years old. I'm not winning any races, but I'm keeping up and I'm feeling great, right? Most 90-year-olds, well, they're dead, and the ones that are still 90 are not mobile almost every single time. And they're not feeling very good, and if they stop taking their medications, they're dead. And they're dead broke, and they depend on the government and friends and family as the main source of their income, and all these other things. So this was quite a long diatribe. If you stuck around for the whole thing of it, let me know. I'd be tickled to just know that you did. Share this if you think there's some good ideas that's worth spreading. I think so. If you love the idea of railing against and perpetuating a message that goes against those entities out there that literally profit by managing your sickness and your poverty, please share this message. This is an important message. It's worth going viral. It's even more so worth going viral than the cute kitten posts that are really cute. I love them too, but they don't do anything to change a status quo that is dependent on people just following the status quo of having their poverty and sickness managed. Nobody benefits from that except maybe the top 1% who's in the business of profiting from your sickness and poverty. So please get this out there. This is a wonderful message. My website is tombirkenmeyer.com, just as you see spelled on my social media. Take out the space, all lowercase, tombirkenmeyer.com, and pass this along. And last but not least, if you love the idea of making money with health and fitness, and being a whistleblower against people that make their money by managing sickness and poverty, then private message me and I will hear from you soon. Bye everybody. Take care. Be healthy. Learn it. Study it for yourself. Take responsibility. Be well. Share this and talk about it openly, free of judgment, with anybody who's willing to have that discussion with you too, okay? Mwah.